new speaker and I want to get noticed? What are some of the things that I would need to do?
Well, Dr. Kenneth McFarland was one of the early mentors of many people in the National Speakers Association, specifically of Bill Gove, who was the first president of NSA. Cabot Robert was the founder of NSA USA, and Bill Gove was the first president. And Bill was a humorist and a sales motivator. And Bill had gone to Dr. McFarland one time at one of his lectures, and he was just a masterful orator, a storyteller in the classic old world sense of being an orator. And Gove went up to him and he said, Dr. McFarland, I want to do what you do more than anything in the world. And Dr. McFarland turned to young Bill Gove and he said, you want to speak? He said, yes, sir. He said, then speak. What do you mean? Well, I don't know the rest of the conversation, but I know the gist of it. Basically, he said, look, if you want to be a speaker, get out there and speak. Yeah, but what do I speak about? Whatever they need to hear about. Something useful for them to know. If you're a storyteller, or if you're not a storyteller and want to be, then join a Toastmasters group. Get out in front of other people on a regular basis and give speeches, tell stories, lead meetings, be in charge of an event. Welcome the people as they come in the door, orient the people, let me welcome, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how this is going to go. First, Terry's going to do a seminar for us, and then Jim's going to deliver a keynote. Then we're all going to take a lunch together and talk about those ideas, and then blah. Get experience having all the eyes on you and having you be the person responsible for whether this is a successful event or not. And if you're going to be a speaker, run meetings, volunteer to be the chairman of a meeting where other people speak so that you get a real good emotional imprint of what it's like to be in their position. Because the people that come in, they say, oh, man, I'm brilliant. I've got great stories. I've got wonderful life experience. You're going to be so enlightened by the time I leave. You'll be sending me thank yous for the rest of my life. I'm a wonderful speaker. Well, first off, don't ever hire someone that says that. But second, they're not necessarily going to succeed. See, when I come in, what I say is, what are you trying to accomplish with this meeting? How can I best add to that? Tell me more about your group. Help me understand them. What do they want? What are they trying to achieve that I can help them achieve? What's an issue or a way of thinking that's keeping them from being more successful, and maybe I can help them alter their mindset? See, that's the thing. And in the United States, when companies look for speakers, they're looking for solutions. They're either looking for a big-name personality to fill seats. In other words, to get everybody to say, ooh, I want to go to the convention because Nicole Kidman's going to be there. She's the speaker, whatever. I want to go to the convention because an Olympic gold medalist is there. Fine. That's a seat filler. And it's a bonus if they're also a good speaker.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they're not. And then other speakers, like me, they wouldn't bring me in because I'm a big celebrity. They bring me in because I'm a solution. Maybe they want to keep more of their customers. So they buy a copy of my book, Relationship Selling, for each of their people and have me come in and speak on that subject. Or maybe they want their people to be developing more of their natural talents. And so they'd use my book, The Acorn Principle, as their text. And my speech would focus on helping them discover the talents that they've never used or haven't yet used, and ways to achieve more than they believed they were capable of. Or maybe it's just straight up motivation. In that case, I've got a book I've written 18 books, so you'd expect this. But I wrote a book last year called The Self-Motivation Handbook. And the Self-Motivation Handbook is 336 ways to get yourself to do what needs to be done when you don't feel like it yet. So these are solutions. That's why they would bring me in. Book or no book, that's why they would bring me in. If they're bringing in a humorist or a storyteller or somebody who's there to fascinate people, then that's an entertainment booking as opposed to a problem-solving booking or a celebrity booking. And so what you've got to focus on is not getting them to laugh, but getting the laughter to be relevant or useful. So you could go in and tell filthy jokes, really off-color jokes, and get people to laugh, but you would also offend a lot of people, and you wouldn't necessarily advance anything. So if you want to advance their organization or their individual success, then make your humor, your stories relevant to their world, their needs, their goals.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. When you're starting out as a speaker, the thing you need is you need a message. In other words, something to say that's worth hearing. And you say, well, what do people pay? No. You're not there yet. You don't get to ask for money until you're good enough to be worth paying, right? First, you've got to have a message worth hearing. Later, we'll make it worth paying to hear. That's a bigger step, right? So you got to have a message. You got to have a market. In other words, there's got to be a group or multiple groups of people that will want to hear what you've got to say. So that could be church groups. It could be civic organizations like the JCs or the pilot clubs or whatever, Rotary. It could be community groups. It could be government organization. It could be branches of LJ Hooker Limited or, heaven knows. It could be anything. AMP. Choose an industry, pick a lane, find a market. So message first, market second. And it could be any market at first. Because third thing you need is mileage. You need lots of miles on the road giving speeches to different types of groups in different settings. Why? Because it's different delivering a message successfully in an elegant boardroom at the top of an office tower in downtown Sydney than it is in a fire station in Adelaide, in the on the outskirts of town, or in Alice. It's if you're speaking in an aircraft hangar, and all these things will happen, by the way. You'll speak in boardrooms, you'll speak in lovely theaters, you'll speak at the Sydney Opera House, you'll speak, at all these wonderful places, but you'll also speak while the people are sitting in the chairs in a barber shop, and you're standing there delivering a talk to 6 people. You'll speak to people in a church basement when it's so hot that everybody has to get their paper plates and fan themselves while you're speaking. You'll speak in cold, freezing rooms in the dead of winter. You'll speak in rooms where the lighting is terrible and they can't see you. They can hear you maybe, but they can't. Or you'll speak in places where the microphone does not work and you've got to figure another strategy. Or where your slides that you were going to show, all of a sudden there's a power outage and you no longer have that capability. You'll speak in the round with people on all sides of you. You'll speak in tunnels that are like speaking into a railroad car, where they set up the room wrong. You'll speak in conference rooms. You'll speak, one time I spoke, this is fun, in Palm Springs, California, outdoors by the swimming pool to a group of highly successful executives. About 20 of them had brought me in for a special lecture on my specialty. And I'd forgotten which topic it was at the time. But I went out to the pool, and I had shown up in a sport coat with a tie and slacks and, dressed for business. Well, they're in bathing suits and T-shirts, and in some cases no T-shirts. And we go out by the pool, and they have a flip chart on an easel for me. And a couple of people stepped into the hot tub, the spa, and so they said, all right, go ahead. And a couple of the others grabbed the patio furniture and configured it in a little meeting-type setting. And I started my speech. And, of course, I took off the jacket and the tie and got more relaxed, rolled my sleeves up so that I could at least not look like an outsider too badly. And so I was conducting my presentation, and all of a sudden, 2 lovely women came out of an adjoining cabana, naked from the waist up. And they proceeded to stretch out their lounge chairs and lie on their backs and sunbathe. During my speech, So you're going to have situations like that where even you don't want to pay attention to your speech. And you're going to have other situations where hardly anybody can pay attention to your speech. You say, well, no. I'm more businesslike. I've got an organized thing. No, trust me. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. That's why I say you need a message, you need a market, and you need mileage. And if you don't have the mileage, you're not ready to be asking to be paid.
That's a great point of departure to my next question. So, obviously, with TEDx and the rise and rise of the orator or the speaker, there's a lot more people in the marketplace these days looking to become a speaker.
Thousands. Yeah.
So, what I found in Australia is there's some fantastic speaker courses of learning how to. Sam Cawthorn, for example, at the Speakers Institute, doing phenomenal work with some of the new guys coming through. The problem that I find them facing is they reach the end of their course and they have their message, they have their content, everything's put together, and they're ready to go. And it's like, well, what do I do next?
Yeah. Well, what you do next is you start communicating with that market. See, as you're doing all these speeches, you're hopefully, after every speech, you're reflecting on it and reviewing what you did. My friend Kevin Buck says, without reflection, there's no true learning. So if you're not sitting there afterwards